This is J2AK Kinetic back again with Grand Arena's Season 16 Finals. You'll see my opponent here, relatively evenly matched. Did have slightly slower mods on some things. Really his mistake I think was defense, but one of us does learn a very hard lesson. It's an extremely close match. And so I decided to go ahead and take some interesting setups here. I was going for points because he didn't have any major meta teams on defense. So I knew he had them all for offense. So if you're curious what Darth Revan does against Night Sisters, I've never really run this, I don't think. It kind of shreds it. You'll see here, you know, obviously the major AoE is pretty significant, and Deathmark obviously can finish off Asajj permanently. But yeah, oh my god, almost one-shot everything. So you'll see here, gonna go ahead and finish off Asajj. And there's really not much to it there. You see that was just a one-shot of the entire crew. And usually my DR team I can't finish with full protection, and there I did actually finish 2 of the 3, I think. So that's really good. And I'm going to go ahead and run my CLS against his Bosk. Did I use 3PO? Okay, I did use 3PO too. Now, again, it's a little bit of an overmatch, but he doesn't really have that much on defense for me to stress about, so I was trying to maximize my points. Right now, I'm just trying to get IGA to not take a turn. I managed to remove all the turn meter, so now I'm trying to decide who do I need to... Maybe I can switch it up and zerg somebody else down. And it looks like I'm going after Zam, and I think I'm going to get Zam. Yeah. So Chew's going to come in, finish off IG-88. And Boba and Rocket. That was a nice counter on him. Yeah, so obviously overmatched, but just in case, you know, I wanted to show it. I haven't had a lot of good matchups in the last season, but I didn't want to put out nothing, so you'll see here. There is a lesson to be learned from this, and I'll kind of talk through it. It is, every point does matter. You know, I probably didn't need C3PO here. I managed 60 with that. And so I run, I believe, Treya against Django. And I did go ahead and run Grand Admiral Thrawn. He had an extremely fast Django. So I went ahead and just locked down his Django with my Thrawn because I didn't want him debuffing everyone up the start. He had a very fast Django, and he had very fast, I forget her name, but Aura Singh. And you can see there Aura Singh still got to go take a turn. But really, obviously, this is another overmatch. But he did have a really strong set of bounty hunters. Greedo was a little weak, and you'll see there that IG-80 was pretty weak on the other team. But overall, he has a lot of depth there. He was lacking in some other areas, but definitely a bounty hunter fan. And he's definitely illustrating, in my opinion, the 2 best bounty hunter arena or PvP teams, if you will, and the 2 best bounty hunter leaderships in Django and Bosk. The one drawback about having 2 of these teams is you only have 1 tank. So honestly, I would have used probably Django for offense. I kept it for Night Sisters maybe. And then I would have run Bosk on defense, and you know I could eat a JTR still or one of those. So here I'm gonna go and finish up Django, and it's an easy win. I probably overran this team again. I could have probably handled it with the trio. So those points really could have made a difference in the final result. And we'll see who learns the bigger lesson. But you see going, no crit. I really need to remod my trio. But I did manage 60. So right now I'm averaging, 60.33 on what I've shown you. Here you'll see the Grievous team went down to Imperial Troopers flawlessly. That was a very weak team. It was really easy to get a kill in Zerg. And I am going to run Padme against this team. And it's an interesting comp. Like I've been kind of trying to mess around with Padme. Pretty much Padme can counter anything. Except for the super meta teams. But, you know, I think at top gear, it's a viable option. But I think you have to be top gear. Right now, this is an under geared team. Gear 10, you know, 5-star Padme. Gear 12 on Anakin and Kenobi. Really good modding on Kenobi. But, you know, it's not quite there yet. It can't stand up to that kind of team. You see here at work, this team had no chance. It was a very clean matchup. Again, maybe I ran too many, but I'm not sure I would have separated this group anyway. So if I can get Ahsoka healed up, yeah. So there's no protection regen with this team, which is a little rough. But I do manage to average 60, and 3 finished with full protection. This is one of the reasons I like running that team on defense. Padme, I think. I think it's probably a stronger team on defense. I think Darth Revan too also kind of falls into that role. So you did see that I did clear, but I wanted to save JTR against Padme because this is one of the better learning experience I had from this Grand Arena. And I do run 4. And I knew that Padme can counter JTR with debuffs. What I failed to take into account was the calling assist and then gaining the 40% protection. You see there, Anakin basically took nothing. And so I realized this pretty quickly into this fight, and I had to adjust my strategy. Now, I overgeared them, not by a lot. Anakin was gear 12, I believe. And so was Barriss. But, you know, if they're getting 40% protection every time I assist, I'm never going to get through them. So I realized pretty quickly oh gosh, I'm going to have to either ramp up Finn's damage and use that to counter the 40%. But I knew then I was going to be fighting the courage battle. And so I decided, well, this doesn't look good. I'm going to try and take out Padme, make sure they don't have the leadership in case I have to come back in with another team. I wanted to make sure I secured that. But, yeah, this matchup is tough. This is not a matchup I'd want to do again. It cost me Finn, which is points right there. And that's if I win, you know. I did get Padme off the board, so at least that is a minor victory. And so I adjust my strategy to only using basics with Jedi Training Rey. And that seems to work. That seems to be pretty effective. It hits harder than Barriss's 20% health does. I think my opponents probably also, I don't know if they lost their health or not after Padme dies, but it just seems like they kind of go down pretty easy between the exposes and the crits. So that was a tough lesson. Obviously, it looks like I'm going to pull the win out here, but those points really, really, really were needed this fight because my opponent took everything meta into the battle, and he was definitely willing to do what it took to win. So, yeah, so I got 57. So I was averaging 60, just slightly above 60 up until that point. Then I did ships. You're going to see this in 2 times here. I definitely outgeared his ships, but I make one mistake here. And if anybody caught that, I loaded up with too many ships. I could have run 2 less ships and gotten extra points because I didn't need it. I did not need that bench to handle this team. Even if his Thrawn were to get off his one shot, I still would have been able to win. It was a foregone conclusion. This matchup is hands down not an issue. And so I left those points, just gave those points away. You'll see that I don't even utilize, I might utilize one more roster spot. Let's see, yeah, I think. Maybe not. And so that just further, reiterates, it's just a waste, just wasted points. 65 points is cool, but I could have gotten so many more. And this is why every point matters. So I managed to get the win by 4 points. I'm sorry, 3 points. And I left about 20 to 35 on the board. So obviously every point makes a difference in Grand Arena and Territory Wars, and this is evidence of that. Thank you for watching. With